Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Ashish. How is everybody doing? We are live back on Friday again. I'm just going to um, add Instagram on our live so that it can go live on Instagram also. So just bear with me while I do that. Mm, Okay. Instagram seems to be frozen for some reason. Okay. So. Okay, let's leave Instagram. It seems that the Instagram is frozen for now.
Okay, no
So,
worries.
good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Ashish, and I am live with every Friday. We hope to be live every Friday, but some Fridays we miss either because of my schedule or expert schedules, or we don't have somebody. So today we have wonderful Shalini joining us, and she is going to tell us what she does. And I'm also meeting Shalini now, first time properly. So it will be wonderful to know also. And then we are going to talk about hormones, fertility, women's health, and then share how things are in Shalini's world as well. So welcome, Shalini.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish. I'm happy to be here. Glad to be sharing what little I know about this topic. It's such a vast topic that there is no end to the knowledge that we can have. So to start with, I'm a holistic health coach, and I
Mhm.
have certified with the Institute of Wellness Professionals in the US, and I've also been a member of the UK Health Coach Association. And apart from that, I have done other certifications. I believe in mind over matter. So emotional intelligence is very important. I've studied with Daniel Goleman Institute to acquire a certification there. So, and Ayurveda, of course, which is the key, fundamental, I would say, thesis to what we practice in India. So that's
Yeah,
my background.
excellent. And how long have you been doing this?
It's been 8 years almost.
Hmm.
My passion has been health, but unfortunately, when I started my life, my career, it was not in this field. But I
Hmm.
think we all at some point hit a crisis or a midlife situation where we want to switch to something we believe in. So I switched from my active accountancy career and I pursued education in this field. And I studied and I worked with experts in this field as mentors and coaches. And then I
Hmm.
moved on to practicing on my own a few years ago.
Right. So was that a crisis to do with yourself or somebody you loved, loved one, family member? Was it to do with them? It is a common practice. I mean, in my case is different because I've only always done this. So in my case it wasn't a crisis, but most people enter natural medicine or holistic medicine as a matter of either something happened with their own health or something happened with their children's health or somebody's health, which kind of pushes you, inspires you to start something. So what happened in your case?
Yes, you're very right. I think that's what pushes you on the edge, and you then look back at your life and see where's the meaning in my life. Yes, so I had colitis, severe ulcerative colitis in 2009, and
Right.
doctors in I was in Singapore, and I was not offered any permanent solution.
Mm.
So I flew back to India and I got in touch with my contacts here who were practicing alternate medicine. And then I was directed to a doctor who helped me finally get rid of colitis permanently. So my
Hmm.
faith in Ayurveda and alternate medicine was really hugely restored in this process because it took me 6 months to actually cure myself. But I've not had an ulcer and I've not had ulcerative colitis since then. Yeah, so that is
Wow.
a personal journey.
Excellent. I think you must have done all the work that needed to do, because otherwise colitis is something people suffer lifelong, because
Yes.
once you have it, modern medicine does not really have anything for it apart from the things that they give you. And then you can have ulcerative colitis forever, because that's something they say it is forever, in modern
Yeah.
medicine. You must have heard it from patients Once you have it, there's just no way of coming off it. But we know it
Yes.
is treatable and manageable.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, usually it is only manageable and symptoms are basically managed. So I learned that with discipline and with the right information and guidance, one can do anything.
Yeah.
Like Diana Ross says, ain't no mountain high enough. So, I believe in that. And I feel that now that I'm 50, and I'm so glad that I made this transition 15 years ago from practicing modern medicine to practicing alternate medicine. And it's done me well. My children are healthy. In fact, my
Yeah.
older one is a doctor. She's just started work with the NHS. So
Okay.
she's healthy, and the younger one is healthy, and she's 13 years old. So I think a lot of that goes, the credit of that goes to my practices of alternate medicine.
Yeah, yeah. No, that is 100%. It is about what you have done with it, because there are other patients also who are given the choice of taking holistic medicine, but they don't necessarily stick with it,
Yes,
because it is being consistent, right? And it is even simple things that sometimes people recommend, okay, eating on time every single day is
right.
hard for people. Just a simple choice. So you must have done really well in terms of keeping consistently on it for you to, come out of it completely.
Yes, yes, very well said. You picked up the right thing. Consistency and discipline of following through, avoiding what needs to be avoided, having what needs to be had. So, yes, these are the, I think, key ingredients to any successful reversal of disease.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So there is a great mix, of numbers and then holistic medicine, going from accountancy to holistic medicine. How do
Yes,
you
yes.
think they complement each other or they don't?
Yes, so my structured approach to how I work, my practice, my documentation, my follow up, and keeping track. I think that that background has given me a lot of, it's provided me a lot of professionalism and structure to my practice. So it does help, yes. And reading numbers, your lab reports are all numbers. I'm not scared of numbers. I can easily
That
read a 50-page lab report because I have that background of numbers. That helps me.
Good point. Good point. I do read a lot of labs, even though I don't really like numbers. Fine, I don't like financial numbers, but I don't mind lab numbers, which I read daily. So that's fantastic. So tell me how your practice is in India. Where are you based, and what do you see for now? What kind of patients do you see?
Yeah, so I am in the Delhi NCR region. So not in within the capital region, but outside of capital region, which is called Gurgaon. And I have a
Yeah.
small studio space I've taken. It's a beautiful space with a garden, vegetable garden, where I grow my own herbs and veggies. So I do a lot of experimentation with nutrition. Apart from
Hmm.
practicing as a coach, I also help people with nutrition, and I also do healthy meals as a side passion. So creating healthy meals is a passion for me. Meals which actually help you reverse diseases, because the ingredients that go into the meals are very well curated. So that's one of my passions. So the space that I have is caters to that kitchen which makes those meals, and to my practice. I have a studio there, so that is where I practice.
Right.
So the
And
kind
what
of
kind of
clients,
people come through?
yeah. So unfortunately, we not early adapters to anything which is so transformatory. I think in India we still are. There's a huge lag between, uh, um, you know, uh, should I say, what can be done, and the kind of the array of options that we have, and the people taking them up, because people are still looking for easy solutions. One pill that they take in the morning, metformin, and they're good to go, right? But if I they come to me, and if I tell them this is the reason, this is the root cause, you have to work on your insulin. They don't know what is insulin, they only know what is blood sugar. So it's a
Mm,
very big challenge. You start from the very basic to start to educate them, and then try to convince them that, okay, this is the right way, because this is going to sustain, and this is going to last forever. You have a long life, and you should not be suffering from any side effects. So
mm.
but it's a tough journey. It's a very tough journey.
Right. So take the metformin and eat the jalebis, yeah?
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Dr.
Well, you
Mike
can
Hy-
tell them you.
yeah.
Sorry.
Dr. Mark Hyman has just he's just released a video talking about how metformin has so many side effects which we are not aware of.
Yeah, well, we know about the side effects for a long time. Metformin, because I did my dissertation for masters and for BSc herbal medicine was on PCOS. So I've known about metformin since then, which was now 25 years ago.
Wow,
And,
yeah,
you know, metformin is, it's like even other anti-diabetic drugs that people are taking or cholesterol drugs that people are taking and thinking that, okay, as long as I take a pill and then I keep taking whatever else I'm eating,
yes,
you know. And you're right, it is education that people have to learn, you know, long term. What do you want to do? I don't want to personally be on any health drug, even any supplement for that sake, even my own herbal medicines, you know, which I always say to my patients, I only like to give medicines from time to time. When there is a requirement for it, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, you take
absolutely.
something, even if it is natural, you know.
Yes, yes, yes.
So how do you educate them? How do you inspire them?
So some inspiration has to be from within. Some intrinsic motivation has to come from within. So typically, how I see the patterns here are, so typically people who are 50 plus, they are more motivated, and they've been there, done that, tried a lot of things, and then once they come to me, they are more or less committed to following a discipline, and they
Hmm.
also have the time to follow a discipline, because before that they are running around managing kids, home, career, social life. So they are under a lot of pressure. So I typically see more people coming from that age bracket, and also more success in that age bracket. 50 plus people
Yeah,
are more committed. Yeah, that's why I said
that
I
I,
work more in menopause field than the PCOS is, I think, something which the age group of, I think, 15 to 35 would be struggling with, and they wouldn't come to me typically.
right. I really find that astonishing, you know, and I am from India. I lived in India for 25 years, born in India. So I find that astonishing that we have Ayurvedic medicine and we don't use it, which
Yes,
is the most, I think, the most ironical part of being, you know, in India and you don't understand Ayurveda, or that if somebody is offering you, you don't take it. Um, and that is because with PCOS or with anything, and PCOS is related to diabetes, and India has huge profile of diabetes, as we know, you know, and insulin resistance overall. So if we actually start children at 15, 16 years old to understand how diet would work for them, we can actually reverse PCOS. There is better chance of reversing at that age than later, right?
absolutely.
So
Yes,
that I just find that it's so frustrating to see that.
I know. I can see that around me, but I'm totally helpless, because you can't really help people who don't want to be helped.
Yeah, yeah. I think you can only share what you share. Like you said, you are sharing meal plans, you're sharing other things with people, and
Yeah.
talking about how this is, um, you know, how it can help them if they start early, is the
Yes.
point. We
Yes.
don't have
And
to start
simple.
at 50.
Yes, and it's not complicated. And people don't believe the efficacy of simple kitchen ingredients if done right, how much they can help them and how much they can benefit from it. So that's the problem. So yeah, I'm slowly, gradually making a dent. People are waking up to it, people are warming up to it. And self-care
Yeah,
is a very big problem in women. Women are conditioned very early on to be selfless, to be giving, and that results into not focusing on their own bodies. So I find that also a very big stumbling block. And I work a lot in
Mm,
that field, the emotional, mental wellness part of the well-being is very important, because until we cross those barriers where we believe that we deserve to invest in ourselves, we will not get there. We will always take quick solutions. and
mm,
and everything like self-care takes time. I mean, if you want to focus on your own health and diet, it takes time to invest in it, to plan for your diet, to plan the week ahead, to to source those good ingredients, to follow a discipline. You have to sacrifice or forego something. So that's
yeah,
that's the mental emotional barrier that I'm working on. I mean, make a lot of
right.
videos on these topics
So
nowadays.
how do you coach them on that? What kind of the disciplines or paradigms you're using? How are you coaching? Is it weekly, daily, monthly?
Usually it's a weekly appointment. I The first few consultations are long appointments, where I deep dive into what their lifestyle is, what their current intake of food diet is, and I map it very in much detail. And then
Yeah,
following weeks is more of a catch up, and then once the plan has been given, then it's more of a catch up, and then they give me feedback as to what's working for them and what's not working for them. And then once it's all these ideas are exchanged, all these iterations are done, then the client is more settled into the plan, and the results then start to come. So typically it takes a month for anyone to fall into the plan and you know start to see results. Some people are very lucky, they start to see results in 2 weeks because they're very disciplined about it. But usually a month later you can see results, because they understand how and why what you're taking is going to benefit you. So I educate them about each and everything that I give them. Let's say I ask them to have CCFT, coriander, cumin, fennel tea. What is it going to do for you? How is it going to impact your thyroid gland? And what is the thyroid gland going to do for you? So I educate them from A to Z so that they are motivated to take that CCFT. So likewise, if I want to take, if I expect them to take virgin coconut oil, what is that virgin coconut oil going to do for them? How is it going to impact their hormones? How is it going to impact their metabolism and weight gain? So that way, every item, every ingredient, bit by bit, it percolates down into their diet, and then once those dietary changes are made, you naturally see results.
yeah. So is it like 3 to 6 months kind of work that you're doing with
Yes,
them?
yes, yes. Typically 6 months. I prefer 6 months,
Yeah.
but
6 months is better. I mean, I normally say 3 to 6 months with me and 1 year overall, because from the
yes,
point
correct.
you start and make every change, not just for yourself, because diet and food is about family life. It is not just about you. It's about when you're cooking, then other people are eating it, and also thinking about you can't just cook for yourself. So if you're cooking for the family, you have to think about other
Yes,
people.
yeah,
So that's what I say, right? So 3 to 6 months. Okay.
absolutely, easily, yeah.
Yeah. And do you do any work, or do you inspire, or think about, or ask them to think about? I'm sure you're doing it, but for them to think about their youngsters. Like when I'm talking to people, patients online, wherever it is. So starting from them, but then I'm talking about, okay, use this information for your family, use this information for your children, use this information to inspire them. Do you do any
Yeah.
work with them?
Not officially, but yes, I do tell them that this is a basic kitchen transformation that you need to achieve good health, and that is going to impact the entire family. So let's say, for
Mm.
example, I tell them to use these kind of oils or not use these kind of oils in the kitchen. So naturally, the entire family benefits. And occasionally, they will ask me informally, "Okay, my daughter is suffering from this," and I've had a case where, in fact, PCOD only. This client of mine, her daughter was not having her periods, and she had PCOD. And I told her that let her do these 5 6 things and come back to me. You come back to me after 2 weeks. And she came back to me after 2 weeks, and she said that she's got her periods. So just by implementing those 5 6 things, she was able to get her periods back on
Yeah,
track. So that also happened once with me. It does happen,
right.
yes.
Did she continue?
The client continued, but not the daughter. Daughter came to me. She came to meet me, in fact. The daughter came to meet me. I think that is what is motivating. If you meet somebody in person and that
Yeah.
person explains to you that if you have junk food all the time, if how is it going to impact your ovaries and your insulin and your overall health? So I think that is what made the difference. So when I met her face to face, and then she followed it through, and then she got the benefit. But then she didn't come back. No.
Right. Right.
Hopefully
Okay.
something happened. Yeah.
No, but it is still good to hear. And this is the change we need to make to start early. Whenever you start then, I guess. But if we can start with our kids earlier, if they know good habits to start with,
Yes.
and also the fact that I see this daily, it's like the idea of healthy food is also not very healthy and not very common. People don't understand that fizzy drink every single day is actually not a healthy food, even if that fizzy drink is a simple kind of healthy energy drinks in the guise of healthy energy drinks that so many youngsters are drinking. The fact that it is a fizzy drink, which is completely, from Ayurvedic point of view, it will be completely banned. You can't have any fizzy drink because it is not, first, not good for your teeth, not good for your gut health anyway.
Absolutely.
But it is the idea of starting early with children. For that, you have to inspire parents to do that so that they can make that change as well. And there are so many things which are just crazy, because how we are labeling certain foods, how we are labeling the oils, how we are labeling the ingredients, for example. People have no idea what is healthy and what is not. So do you find that your clients tell you, or you find that that is the case when you look at the labels and stuff?
Yes, yes, a lot. A lot. So reading packaged food labels is not easy, and not many know how to do that. In fact, I have recently started a movement or a drive against eating a lot of packaged food because people don't know how to distinguish between the good and a bad packaged food. So it's best to minimize the use of packaged food. I think that's the way to go. If you have time, prep your meals on a weekend, on a Saturday or a Sunday, freeze them, keep them, store them properly, and then have
Yeah.
them during the week. That's the best way to have your food if you don't have time during the week to cook. So my motto and my agenda in life is to minimize the use of packaged food so that you don't end up making a mistake of having the wrong kind of processed packaged food.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there is, I mean, yeah, there is a lot of packaged food in terms of all these ginger curry paste and stuff like that is just all over the place. And it is, what we don't realize is, even if it is a tiny amount of citric acid, which is used as a preservative in all these mostly packaged sauces and stuff, but if it
Right.
is going every single day in your gut, the kind of damage it is doing to your gut,
Yes,
to
absolutely.
highlight that, right?
Yeah. All these autoimmune conditions, where do you think they're coming from?
Yeah, from coming
One of
from
the
all this
reasons,
food.
yeah, one of the
Where else?
reasons is bad gut. Yes, yes.
Yeah, but it is about highlighting, highlighting to people what they can use. And I think, what do you think in your case? I'll tell you what I think. But what do you think from your perspective? What is the biggest ingredient, if we change that, will make the biggest difference in terms of cooking a meal? What is the biggest ingredient you would say?
Wheat.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So wheat in terms of chapati and that people are eating.
Everything: flour, sandwiches, breads, wraps, um, chapatis, um, pizzas, burgers,
Mm-hmm.
everything. It's killing our gut. It's killing us finally.
Why? So because we have. So you are promoting what? Brown atta? Yes.
No.
Or no
So
atta at all?
no atta no wheat atta at all.
So what?
For
What would
most
you eat?
people, it doesn't work. Yeah. So for most people, wheat and gluten doesn't work, because by the time you are 25, 30, 35, you've had consumed so much of bad quality wheat that it has affected your gut. Either you have a
Mm.
leaky gut, or you have imbalanced bacteria, the microbiome is disturbed, um, or you have autoimmune reaction to gut, to gluten. So most 90% of people don't know why they have bloating, and they have indigestion, and they have allergies, because once
Mm.
gluten gets into your bloodstream through the leaky gut, you develop allergies, you develop autoimmune conditions. So most people don't know the reason, but the reason for that is, one of the major reasons for that is gluten, which sticks to your gut lining and perforates the gut lining and enters your bloodstream. So that's the
Right.
reason why
But we do,
people say
yeah,
should be
but we
avoided.
do have like brown attas in India where you are. Yes. The more
Yeah, but got it. I know what you're saying. Kids, maybe when they have not eaten that much gluten and they don't have those conditions, the gut is good and fresh. You can have good quality, not the hybrid GMO variety of wheat, but the
no.
local variety of wheat you can have if your gut is in good shape. But I think sadly, none of us have good guts. So I would rather not consume gut gluten and save my gut in the process, or at least help heal my gut in the process. If it's not completely gone, then at least I can heal it if I avoid gluten. But if I don't avoid gluten, then the chances of healing the gut is very, very little, and a very slow progress as well.
And and what would they eat if they don't eat the usual atta? What do they eat?
So we have a huge variety of ancient grains in India, actually.
Mhm.
So in India, we don't lack options to wheat. Wheat has originally not been the main grain to consume in India, actually. Our northern India is a rice basin. It is a supplier of rice to the world. So we have
Yeah.
been producing rice historically, and then in the other parts of the country, we have been producing a lot of millets. So if you go to the western part and the southern part, we've had a lot of millets like um, uh, um I don't know the English versions, but jawar and bajra, the pearl barley,
Yeah.
um, the ragi, which is in the southern part of a country, and even in the Himalayas, they have another version of ragi. So a lot of different versions of millets are grown in different regions of India, which is their local ancient grain, which is what their ancestors ate,
Yeah.
many centuries ago. So the percolation of wheat in everyday life has been an influx from, or a gift from, I think, people who invaded us.
But what do you recommend to your patients in your clinic? So
So
if
yes,
you take them off wheat, which and not giving them any brown flour, for example, so what are you then recommending?
rice, number one.
Okay.
Good quality whole rice, not very ultra refined, ultra processed rice. Good
Hmm.
quality rice. Brown
Okay.
rice. We have huge varieties of rice. We have rice grown in the Himalayas. We have rice grown in the south, in the valleys. We have rice grown in the coastal regions. So many different varieties of rice which work for the inhabitants of that region should be eaten. For example, in the south, they eat Sona Masuri rice or Shashtik rice. In the
Yeah.
Himalayas, you
That's
have
in
the Himalayan
Ayurveda.
red rice. Yeah. In the Himalayas, you have the Himalayan red rice or the Himalayan black rice. And
Yeah.
you have the unrefined white rice, which is the brown rice, which has a little
Hmm.
bit of the husk intact with the minerals and the enzymes to digest the rice. What is the husk and the whole grain doing for us? It has the right enzymes, it has the essential minerals which are required to digest the nutrients in that grain.
Yeah.
But once we process it, once we refine the flour, once we refine the rice, then those enzymes and minerals are depleted. So anything which is whole grain grown in that region is what I advise for that particular client.
Right. Okay. No, that is good. Rice is good, and other kinds of grains are really, really good as well.
Yes.
I don't. particularly see an issue with wheat if it is eaten very mindfully. And if you're eating brown flour, for example, at home, we don't eat any white flour. My
Okay.
twins were 16 years old. They have never eaten white bread or white flour. So
Yeah.
now it's fine. Occasionally, once a week, once a month, you can have like whatever, naan or something else. But overall staple diet, and when they were very little, from then they never had anything which was white based,
Hmm.
so we just don't buy white bread. So I
Great.
personally don't see to take wheat completely out, but I do understand where you are coming from, because chapati is such a huge part of Indian diet, and it is eaten 3 times a day, maybe even more, and paranthas and everything, that if we don't do that part to heal the gut, it doesn't work. And you're right, if we start, I find if kids start early on where they only have brown flour, they wouldn't have any issue with wheat, you know,
Hmm.
because it
Hmm.
is about training our gut. It is
Yeah.
not about wheat itself, is not the bad boy. It is how we eat it, and how, of course,
The
white
quality.
flour,
Yeah,
yeah, the
exactly.
quality of
Yeah.
it, white flour is damaging. I mean, all these white flours, and people like these fully rotia, and it's like, what the heck? It is not good for you.
Absolutely.
You want to have chapati which has got more husk in it, which has got more fiber
Exactly.
in it, so that your gut can actually, it slowly passes you through your gut. And that
Yes.
is what people should do. And also with kids, it is it is a huge, what is it, it's a whole lot of things people have to do. But yeah,
Yeah.
I personally like chapatis, I like paranthas. Parantha is my staple diet, but I make sure that it is always made with brown flour. We don't use any other flour. I
Hmm.
don't have any gut health issues. I've never had any gut health issues. But that
Hmm.
is my way of doing it. But that's only if person can do that. And
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
then for them to take other kind of all these rice and varieties and everything else that you mentioned, for people to take. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I only talk about clients who have issues. If you don't have any issues, then obviously you're free to eat in moderation everything. So that is
Yeah.
not my agenda to stop people from eating good quality whole wheat. I only advise people to go off gluten because I see a lot of issues surrounding um,
Mm.
gut, basically, because I think everything that they have is a manifestation of a simple gut issue which could have been managed early on, but they didn't manage it. So now it's snowballed into something else. So that is why I
100%.
start with gut, yeah. And then I go on
Yeah.
to liver. So liver is the next step where all these hormones are converted and processed and flushed out of our system. So that is the way one would start with any health condition: your gut, your liver, and then your lymphatic system. All of that you gradually detox and heal and recover and build strength.
Yeah, yeah. I remember those days when my grandfather used to take, atta to get it milled, and then we would have our own, because we've
Yeah,
always done that. I grew up with that idea. Had
right.
our own freshly squeezed oils, or the ghee that we used, or the milk that we used to get fresh every single day. So that's how we develop. But I don't think kids these days know any of that, or even, I don't know, 30, 40 years old people may also not know this, right? Because it is all what is packaged, coming from packaged stuff.
Yes.
But it is a huge lot of things in terms of gut health, and how then gut health is affecting the hormones, and how then gut health is affecting the rest of the gynecological health.
Yes, absolutely.
Somebody was saying to me on live yesterday, and she said, "Oh, but Indian, um, but Indian food is not good for us." And I said, "What do you mean? Indian food is the best food if it is eaten properly, and if it is in its proper format." And she said, "It is full of oil." I said, "Well, that's your choice to put a lot of oil in it. It does not have to be that oil based food.
Yes,
But it
yes,
is because now the current scenario is such, and what people see, so much oil, and oh yeah, by the way, what I was asking you, according to me, the biggest ingredient change maker is the oil in which people cook. If we can change
That would be
that,
number two. That would be number two for me.
okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you recommend?
Yes, so there's a lot of debate around which is the good oil and um, what is a good kind of fat to use in your diet, right? And with a lot of talk about keto diet, we have a lot of focus on fat, right? So I would say we over the years, I'm 50, and over the years we have doused ourselves with oil, which is primarily dominated by omega 6. We need to balance it out now by consuming more of omega 3 sources of fat. So
Mm,
broadly, this is the theme that I operate in. Not what which oil are we picking, but the sources of fat that we are incorporating in our diet. So if we are
yeah.
focused on omega 3, then we would make the right kind of choices. So
So, which oils
coconut oil.
contain them? Yeah.
So omega 3 is in walnuts, is in chia seeds, is in flax seeds, but that's not something you can have in huge quantities. Is in fish. So being a fish eater myself, I strongly encourage people to have seafood so that they can meet their requirements of omega 3. Or else you can
Yeah.
have omega 3 supplements. Unfortunately, in this case, sometimes I do recommend supplement because in a vegetarian diet we don't have enough sources of omega 3 sometimes.
We don't. Uh, no, what I was asking was the cooking oil. So, what cooking oil would you recommend? Do you recommend to your
Yeah.
patients there?
So coming back to the omega 3, omega 6 debate, the idea is to have as less of omega 6 as possible. And most of our seed oils have more of omega 6. So the ideal
Mm,
ratio of consumption of omega 3 to 6 is 1:6. I think, but we go
mm,
way beyond. If you actually sit down to measure the consumption, it'll be 1:100 or maximum 1:20. You will never see an ideal ratio of 1:6 as a pattern of consumption of omega 3 and 6. So, oil consumption in general, I don't really encourage because it has a huge quantity, huge percentage of omega 6 in it. But if
yeah.
we are to use seed oils in our cooking, I would urge everyone to please use cold pressed oils, which preserve the nutrients and the enzymes in the food, in the seeds that you extracted the oil from. So, cold pressed, unprocessed oil is the best form of oil that we have grown up having. We used to go to a mill, oil mill, and get our own oil is extracted from our own seeds so that we could see it from our own eyes that nothing has been taken away or added to it. So that was the best kind of oil. So cold pressed oil, number one. Number two, coconut oil, olive oil, and sparing quantities of maybe sesame oil, peanut oil um,
Mm,
is good to have in your diet. So
right.
number
And
one would be coconut oil.
what about the ghee? Do you recommend
Ghee is
people
good.
to cook in ghee?
Yes. Ghee from a good source,
Mm,
ghee from the right cow milk is what I recommend.
yeah. Okay. That's great. Yes. Because I don't recommend much cooking oil for cooking daily stuff.
Yes,
So whether it's three or six, or it doesn't matter. It is, I normally recommend ghee also because I work a lot with fertility and I love ghee particularly. It's such a great food. It tastes so good.
yeah,
But I do know that you can't fry stuff in ghee. One, it is very expensive to use, so not everybody is able to use ghee. So wherever you can use ghee, but when we are cooking and when we are doing daily veggies and stuff, you don't need that much ghee. You need small amount. Uh, you know,
yes,
so my go-to is ghee for my patients, and anywhere I'm recommending them. And then the oils, whatever oil, if they can't get ghee, then you're right. Any good quality oil that they can use, which is local to them, would be the best, because that is always easier and cheaper to get. Like olive
right,
oil is not really native to India. Olive oil is very expensive in India. Olive oil is also not native to here in the UK. So we import it from other countries, right?
right.
So
Yeah,
whatever we can use locally, oil which is easily available, And yes, I don't recommend refined oil at all, because refined oil is, from Ayurvedic point of view, it is very heat producing oil. All oils
Yes.
are heat producing, they're very warming by nature, you know,
Yes.
whereas ghee is cooling by nature, and it helps to digest your food. So
Yes.
even from Ayurvedic point of view, yeah,
Yes,
sorry.
ghee actually is, sorry, incidentally, ghee is tridoshik, meaning it impacts all three doshas, and we can come to that later. What are doshas? All three doshas positively. Plus,
Yeah.
ghee heals the gut.
Mhm.
Ghee heals leaky gut. So it lines up the gut lining so that nutrients or anti-nutrients don't pervade the gut into the bloodstream. So ghee is a great healer of gut.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, we should all go back to ghee. Stop using all the oils, you
That
know.
would be best.
And also, one of the things that I recommend people to do is to look at the ingredients, because when you look at the ingredients of all these oil bottles, you will find how that oil is. And most of them, because names are very deceptive, you know, what it says on the front of the label as compared to when you look at the ingredients list, it is all refined oil, and refined oil is not good for healthy gut, and not good for hormones, especially for women, also for men, you know, men's health is also not really good. So I always encourage patients to then look at ingredients, especially I find the ingredients, yes, in Indian shops here in the UK, where we have got oils from all over and also from India, is how refined the oil is, and the more refined any oil is, the more damaging it is to your digestive health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very well
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
So fabulous. So we both like using ghee. I love using ghee, even personally, and butter, ghee, or any other good fat that people can use. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's fantastic, Shalini. What else is happening in terms of not just your patients, but around the whole dialogue of gut health and women's hormones, and how good are women in understanding that their gut health is actually damaging the whole thing about their hormones.
They
And
don't
thyroid
understand.
health is huge, because I think everybody in India has got thyroid issues.
Yeah. There's a huge percentage of women who have thyroid issues, and for all age groups, not just a particular
Hmm.
age group of, So, in fact, I have one lady, very young lady, who's come to me, and she has hypothyroidism. So it can start at any age. Yeah. And it's very, very common in India. But sadly, nobody understands the link between gut health and hormonal health. Yeah. They
Hmm.
think that once I've got a thyroid problem, I have got it forever. It cannot be managed, it cannot be reversed. And then, secondly, people don't understand the link between diabetes and insulin. They don't understand how insulin works. And they are happy if they take a lot of protein and their sugar doesn't spike up. um, but they don't know whether their insulin is being carefully managed as well. So that's not really understood. And the link between gut and all these other hormones, and how estrogen, if it is not flushed out of the system, stays in the system and causes so many issues of excess estrogen, is completely not understood. Nobody I know, no client I know has ever known this fact. So it takes
Hmm.
a long time for me to educate them about how to manage gut health, how not to have ever have constipation, how to have a good clean liver so that the estrogen is converted and flushed out of your system.
Yeah.
And most reproductive years women, I feel that that is one of the biggest reasons of their hormonal disturbances, PCOD,
Hmm.
fibroids, and even cancers. Estrogen positive cancers are on the rise as well.
Yes, and especially breast cancer is huge.
Yes.
I know in India, and especially in Punjab, it's massive.
Mm.
Yeah.
Surprised.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that in Punjab if they're having so many estrogen positive
Yeah.
cancers. Yeah.
Breast cancer, actually, even here in the UK, the biggest group that has the biggest number of breast cancer cases is Indians, or Indian ethnic background, Indian,
Is it?
Pakistani, Bangladeshi. Yes,
Got it.
they have the
Okay.
maximum amount of breast cancer. One, that they, because of shame and because of not knowing enough, they don't go for checkups as often.
Right.
And secondly, because of course, of other issues, gynae issues and the estrogen dominance, as you mentioned, which does not clear up if you are constipated. It does not clear up if your gut health is not healthy. It does not clear up if your liver is
Your liver
stagnated,
stagnated, right?
right? So
Yeah.
all of that. So how do you work with, what do you work with in terms of, do you give them herbs, do you give them supplements, what do you give them?
So I work using both the modern diagnostics and the Ayurvedic tools. I do an assessment of their body type, and I look at their blood reports to see how much how are the inflammation markers, and how is their blood count, and obviously all the hormone levels. So anything which is out of the functional range, not the lab range, is something
Mm,
I start working on. And usually gut health is my starting point, and then I move on to the liver. So gut health, I like to give more food based solutions for gut,
yeah.
more things to avoid rather than have. So avoidance is the best treatment in for gut health. So if you avoid those three, four, five things, or processed food, processed refined oil, refined sugar, that takes care of a lot of gut issues. But if the gut issues are more chronic, then I have to give them some supplements.
Mm, right. And is it herbs or is it modern supplements you use? And what do you mean by the functional range of tests?
So, for example, okay, so B12, right? So when you look at any lab report from any reputed lab, they would give an ideal range of 200 to 800.
Okay.
But then we know that any B12 of around 200 to 500, it doesn't have the same impact. It is a maintenance dose, it is a maintenance level of B12. But for it to work in your body, to boost your metabolism, it has to be above a range of 500. So I would then urge my clients to boost their B12. If it's around 200, give them, accordingly, dark green leafy vegetables, and also advise them a supplement, a right form of B12, which is methylcobalamin, not
Yeah.
cyanocobalamin. So, the right form of B12, so that it gets absorbed by the body better, and their metabolism and their, the blood count is taken care of. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have to work both ways. Yes.
Right.
And for
No,
gut
that
health,
is correct.
yes,
Optimized version of the blood test, you mean? So it is not just that you are within the range and it is normal for you,
yes,
because
yes,
range is, so I mean, that's another whole discussion about blood test, because blood tests are standardized blood tests, across the age, across the weight, across the body structure of someone, and it doesn't
exactly,
take into
exactly,
account what your body weight is, because your requirement of nutrients is according to your body weight. So somebody who is going to be heavier or bigger and taller, they're going to have more requirement of those nutrients, right? So
absolutely.
you're right, it should be optimized. It should not just be that, oh yes, you're within the range. You should be more towards whatever that, at least average right in the middle, or more towards the higher side of that particular range, if it,
Exactly.
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. How can 200 and 800 be both be considered normal or okay for that one person, right? It is not possible, right? That wider range is not possible because it's reflective of a huge population. That's why the range is so huge, but it's not the
Yeah.
ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is wonderful. And yes, it should be. And that's why it is so. I mean, according to me and how I would like to see it, and it is not always possible to do that, but you work with them for 3 months, and every 3 months they should have a blood test to check up, how they're doing and what level. When the blood reaches at that particular level, the nutrients and vitamins and minerals, is their health now feels optimized? Do they feel healthier in this state? Then okay, this is your normal range. what is working
Right.
for your body and your mind,
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
it is always difficult. Here it is even more difficult because we have NHS, and you don't get blood tests by you asking them. So only doctors can recommend, and it is hard, generally once a year, and even not even that is recommended if you are healthy and you don't have any particular health issues. Like I don't go to doctor for anything, so it would not be necessarily recommended, unless you have an issue. But
Hmm.
you're right, while people are working with their health issues, they should test it every 3 months to check how it is improving or not improving, and how all these measures that you are recommending to them are working for them or not.
Yes, yes. And they like to see data, right? Everyone loves data. And if you have data right in front of you, then you get more convinced to even go deeper and further into that journey.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I can keep saying, but they might not agree that this is correlated to what I have done for them. They might say, oh, I feel good, but I don't know if I'm really getting better. But once they see the test results, they know that they're getting better. So that's just one way of correlating that you're getting better.
yeah.
That's the only thing.
And how do you get a sense of them, from them about their wellness? So data is one thing. Yes, we can look at all the data, and some people have got all the perfect tests and they still don't feel healthy. So how do you look at their happiness markers? What else do you look at? What do you ask them, in terms of how well they feel in their life?
Yes. So that's a good question. So whenever I start a conversation, data is one thing which is done in the background by other people as well. But my focus has always been about understanding the person. So it starts usually from, okay, what is your typical day like? So from morning, what time you wake up, what do you have, what do you do? Not just the diet, but what do you do? So going on from there, and then um, till the night. And then gradually I build a bond with them. And then when there are challenges, they'll come back to me and tell me that I can't do this because this is the reason, family or whatever, boss or colleague. And gradually I take them on a journey of understanding themselves a little bit better, and empowering them to set stronger boundaries around them, so that their bosses, their colleagues, their friends, their family respects those boundaries, sees those boundaries first, and respects those boundaries, and then you are able to take care of yourself a lot better. So that is
Yeah,
part of the journey. That is part of being well, you know, doing self care. And what does self care entail for you? Setting those boundaries. And how do you set those boundaries? And
hmm,
why is it important to set those boundaries? Why do you have to value yourself first before other people can value you? So that journey is taken alongside with any physical health journey. For me, it's very
yeah.
important.
Oh, 100%. Yes, that's why it is. That's how it will be holistic, when the whole person is taken into account. Like one of the things, or one of the few things that people say, and patients who have done work with me and over the years, it's like, okay, it's not that I wasn't sleeping well, but now I'm sleeping much better, you know. So that's one little nuanced difference can make all the difference in how you get up in the morning and how your energy level is, right?
Absolutely. Sleep is so much more important than people think it is. It is so
Yeah.
important. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it is that, I've heard from patients saying, "Oh, my children are saying, Daddy, you are smiling more these days," and we don't realize that wellness is about how happy you feel, how satisfied you feel. You don't fight with your partner, you don't fight with your children, you're not shouting on them,
Yeah.
because you're settled within you. When you have a health condition of any kind, even a bloated gut, which becomes chronic
Yes.
for people,
Right.
it is such a nuisance. I don't even know how people live with diseases, because I'm somebody who's 100% healthy. So I find it really astonishing that people are they manage to get on with their day with so much discomfort, you know
Yes.
and even simple bloating can give you so much discomfort during the day, that for you to be unable to put your trousers on, your jeans on, you can't sit properly, you can't go to toilet properly. If you're in an office space, you can't do that. or you may keep feeling these twinges and aches and pains, and you're not able to feel happy. This is hurting, this is not feeling good. And I don't know how people
Absolutely.
continue with that, really.
Yeah. I think one accepts them as part of life, as part of aging, as part of growing up. Pain becomes part of their life. So, yeah, it requires a huge amount of work to change that mindset.
Yeah, well, it is not part of life, and aging has got nothing to do with these conditions.
That's
But it is good to know that you're doing holistic work with your clients, and mind is important in healing. Actually, it all starts with the mind.
it
Body is
also,
just following the mind, right?
yeah, absolutely. Our hormones are all controlled by the mind, right? Physiologically, our pituitary gland is secreting all these hormones and guiding all the organs. Okay, you do this, you do that, you do this. So basically, physiologically, also, if we understand, then we will know that the brain is controlling so much of our body, right? And
Yeah,
obviously, psychologically and emotionally, definitely, our mind controls our body.
yeah, yeah.
You
I
asked
think
me what
that,
are the other. Sorry, just I'll just complete that
yeah,
loop. You asked me what are the other markers of wellness.
tell
So you
me.
said you said sleep. Yes, sleep is one very good marker
Yeah,
of wellness.
yeah.
The other is bowel movement. How well you evacuate in the morning is very
Mhm.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good marker of wellness.
And how
And
many of your patients are constipated?
it's a mix. Sometimes people have diarrhea. People come with diarrhea. So in
Yeah.
Ayurveda, we have different body types: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And people with typical Pitta dosha aggravation have more diarrhea.
Mm.
People with Kapha dosha aggravation have more constipation, and people who have more Vata Pitta aggravation have IBS.
Yeah.
IBS, sometimes diarrhea, sometimes constipation. So that is how Ayurveda looks at bowel movement, and then in turn understands so much of the body, because it's predefined. The rules of and the philosophy of all these three doshas are so well defined that you can exactly know what is happening in their body if they have this dosha aggravation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh, I think everybody in Indian, at least in India, everybody should be taught about Vata Pitta Kapha. And
Yes.
it's such a shame that we don't teach this to our children. Like my kids know because they have grown up with all the herbal stuff.
Yeah.
But it is something that is so fundamental, and you can live your whole life, even if you don't do anything else. You just live your whole life according to your body, mind, constitution. You will be 100% healthy for 90% of the time. You know,
Right. Absolutely.
but it's a fascinating um, systematic way of knowing about your body systems and body mind system. There is no
Body
body
mind.
without mind, but body mind systems.
Yes.
um, that's wonderful. I know a little bit more about what is happening in NCR and what is happening there with all the stuff. And it's great that you're doing all this work and, guiding people onto good health. And especially women's health is more required because we need healthy children and we need healthy generations to come, which are going to come from women. Fortunately or unfortunately, that is the responsibility they have by nature.
Yes.
So for them to understand and for them to feel happy and healthy is the point, right?
Yes. And it all starts in the gut. So gut health, liver health, and then your mind, how stressful you are, how you manage stress, how you manage your hormones, your cortisol levels, your estrogen dominance, your testosterone level in case of PCOD. So and insulin, the primary hormone, insulin, if you manage these well, I think then you're on the way to great hormonal and reproductive health.
Yeah, yeah. And how is your health? How is the health of your family?
I think it's all good. My friends, family, everyone I meet tells me that I don't look a mother of a 25-year-old. So that's a very big validation for me.
Don't. Yeah.
I look like my daughter's sister. That's what people tell me.
Nice. Yes. When we are healthy, that's what happens, right?
Yeah, so that's very heartening to hear. And I tell them that I have a huge responsibility because if I don't follow what I tell everyone, then nobody's going to listen to me. So,
100%. Yeah, we got to live what we are preaching, right?
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, that's fantastic. So wonderful to know. Maybe when I visit Delhi, I can come and see you.
Absolutely.
So
My pleasure to have you and to meet
yeah,
you.
we were there last year in July. So let's see, maybe next year. So Delhi is like second home. So Delhi is I'm very used to Delhi in India, and Bangalore and Delhi, two three places, and Punjab, of course. So yeah, so it would be lovely to see you. So thank you for today, Shalini, for
Thank you,
sharing
Dasha.
your, you know, all your experiences as a practitioner and how you came into this side and what you're doing with it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everybody who's listening now or live or replay. Feel free to ask a question or drop a comment. And it's wonderful to have different experts, different opinions in different parts of the world because not every country is the same. Every country has their own, even rules and regulations, as well as different foods and different cuisines and different health issues. So that's what we are sharing here and sharing the importance of holistic medicine, how holistic medicine can make a difference going forward. So thank you for
Absolutely.
listening, and we'll be back next Friday. Thank you so much, Shalini.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.
Namaste. Bye.
Bye.